We are just about a week away from WWDC, and this year is going to be epic, not only about software, but also about hardware, and we just got a killer confirmation of what is to come. So I'm going to talk about multiple devices and different software versions, but I want to start out with the iPad. We just made a bunch of videos on the new iPads, and after using them for over 2 weeks, Apple has to do something. Now, unlike the iPhones with iOS, we don't have that much information about iPad OS. Now, yes, we are going to finally get a calculator. That took way too long, but as far as the overhauls, the updates, there's very little info, and that might be on purpose. Now, while the new iPads are really nice, especially the M4 iPad Pros, it's the best hardware out there. Honestly, way better than a MacBook hardware-wise. A lot of extra capability, a lot of extra convenience. I love the hardware. As you guys know, there is really no reason to buy one other than a select small group of people that can really benefit from some of the minor updates. But for most people, this is still a tablet that is extremely limited because of the software. It's the best tablet out there, but the price tag is insane. It's a very crazy luxury device. They cost more than a MacBook now, not including the updates. So Apple has to do something. And at the event, Tim made it clearer than ever before that we need to wait for WWDC. Now, of course, a lot of people have been asking for a few things. We want professional apps, and we want a way better experience. Apple has those patents they were granted. I've talked about it so many times, I don't want to go off on it, but if they do give us a desktop-like experience with true multitasking, which Android has had forever, Dex is so much better, that would make this device truly worth the crazy high price tag. Now, I know some of you guys were very skeptical about these iPads launching. Now, we really like Mark Gurman, but he also disagreed with us that these would come out with the M4 chip. But as you guys know, they did. So the next thing that I need to cover is Macs before I talk about iOS. Now, we have been talking about a Mac Studio and a Mac Pro upgrade for a while now, for a variety of reasons. Mark Gurman has been adamant that the Mac Studio and Mac Pro won't get updated until the middle of 2025. And we think that that is absolutely impossible. And if for some reason we are wrong, which I'll let you know why we think we are not, well, that would be a bad mistake on Apple's end, because the M2 Ultra Mac Studios and the M2 Macs are pretty much a heavy paperweight at this point. And that's coming from somebody who spent a lot of money on an M2 Ultra Mac Studio, because right now, an M3 Max MacBook Pro beats out that computer in multiple different tasks while being portable. And with that, the Mac Pro is an even bigger ripoff. Now, we actually bought both, and the Mac Pro was supposed to be the computer that does our main editing, about 90% of it, but because of the higher price tag and performance, which was slightly worse, we ended up keeping the M2 Ultra. So if for some reason they don't end up upgrading it, I mean, that thing is just gonna be such a crazy ripoff. Now, we also know that Apple is trying to get rid of the M3 chip as soon as possible, because that uses the first generation of 3nm technology, which has worse yields, and it is more expensive with less performance than the M4, which is why they launched it so soon after the M3 in this iPad. And the M4 chip actually has the biggest boost that we've seen in years from Apple, actual performance boost instead of having to add more cores. So it is an incredible chip. And typically what has happened is Apple would put their entry-level chips into MacBooks and then come out with the Pro and Max, and then they would come out with the Ultra. But one thing that Vadim and I have been talking about for a year and a half now is that it would make sense for Apple to first start out with the highest end chips, that sell the least but have the best profit when they're getting into a new design, and that would make people want to buy a more expensive computer to get that killer performance and all the updates first, and then bring it down to the cheaper lines because that's less profitable, and people buying entry level, say a MacBook Air, well, they don't focus on performance as much as people that really need it. Now, as far as laptops, we know that in the fall, we're supposed to get updates to the new M4 chips. So if Apple does wait to get the Ultras, the Studio, and the Mac Pro out until mid-2025, those are gonna be even more behind and nobody is going to buy them. So it makes complete sense to have that update coming out soon, and we actually have some very solid confirmation. Now, Apple already started to make servers with M2 Ultras because they need them, but we just got a new release that Apple is setting up artificial intelligence servers that will use confidential computing for AI. And they are gonna be switching to M4 Ultra by the end of this year, which is 2024, not mid-2025. Now, Mark Gurman replied, and he is still sticking to his note that it is not coming out, and we'll see here very shortly if he is right. But just like with the M4 iPads, he did not believe that they are gonna come out until the very last moment before the event, where it was obvious that it is coming. So we shall see here very soon. Now, with that, I wanna talk about the Mac Mini and the updates coming to that. That's been stuck on M2 because Apple knew a year and a half in advance that the M3 is gonna be short-lived, so it's not worth upgrading it. And will that come out at WWDC? Now, there is a chance that they can do a massive drop because they really need it. Their desktops are selling very poorly, and upgrade everything and release the Pros, the Maxes, and the Ultras, and that would be sweet. But they could also flip the script like we talked about and just release the highest end and save that for the fall with the MacBooks. Now, as far as iOS, we have a bunch of interesting things that are gonna be coming out. Of course, a lot of this is gonna apply to the iPad as well. And we really need Siri to get smarter, to be more natural. It's not very smart right now, so that is good to see, along with smart replies, transcriptions, summarization, predictions. All of these things are real world use cases that are actually important to regular people instead of just a chatbot that you could talk to. I think this is gonna be a nice improvement for the everyday user. Some of the things they might not even notice what is happening if they're not keeping up. And Apple's making a huge push into AI because they are really, really far behind compared to everybody else. Now, there's also talk of having a redesign as far as icons, more like the Vision Pro. Let me know your thoughts on this because personally, I like it in the Vision Pro where you have that transparency in your environment. On the iPhone, I don't think that will look very good, but I want to hear your guys' opinions. And please, Apple, make a big improvement for the iPads. These M4 iPad Pros really, really need it. So I'm really looking forward to the WWDC that is coming up here very soon. I think it's gonna be a huge year, one of the biggest in a long time. You guys let me know your thoughts. Go ahead and comment down below. Click that circle above to subscribe. Check out one of those great videos right over there. This has been Max, and I'll see you in the next one.